සුපිරි අධිවේගයක් පරදා ඔබ මවිත කරවන වේගයක් විඳ ගන්න. පියවර තුනකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම් ෆයිබර් ඔප්ටික් ජාලයට එක්වන්න. slp.lk වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Making headlines on First at 9. Parliament debates Mattala. Government decided to go ahead with Mattala Airport deal with India. Aviation Minister tells the House. State Minister of Finance Derana Wickramaratne says airport can be used only for commercial undertakings.
The usages will be for commercial purposes only.
Enhancing trade. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says government to consider new pacts with Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia.
After the Singapore FTA, who comes in? Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia.
Unauthorized structure. Home Affairs Minister Vajrabe Wardana says that Galle International Stadium will be removed and the land will be vested with the people. Health in Sri Lanka. Health Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne says that the government has taken steps to control chronic disabilities and premature deaths due to mental diseases.
That Sri Lanka serves a model for mental health care due to its transformation of mental health care over the past 2 decades.
Tragic revelation. Dramatic mobile phone footage shows atmosphere in a plane cabin minutes before it crashed in South Africa's capital. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. President Maithripala Sirisena, who is on a 3-day visit in Georgia, met with his Georgian counterpart Georgi Margvelishvili in Tbilisi yesterday. Strengthening the bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Georgia was the focus of the discussion. According to the President's media division, the two heads of state have focused on developing friendly relations between the two countries while further strengthening economic ties through new approaches. The two leaders have also highlighted the need to develop ties in agriculture and tourism sectors. President Sirisena visited Georgia to participate in the Open Government Partnership Global Summit in Tbilisi. An adjourning debate was held in Parliament today over the controversial New York Times article, which accuses the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa of receiving funds from China Harbour Engineering Company. UMP parliamentarian Tushari Indunil Amarasena presented the proposal for the debate today.
The prestigious newspaper, the New York Times, published an article on the 25th of June 2018 titled How China Got Sri Lanka to Cough Up a Port. There are evidence in this article which shows how Sri Lanka's sovereignty has been betrayed. So I propose to this House that action must be taken to look into the monetary dealings of the Hambantota Port project.
New York Times only publishes in English. So let the honourable member read the motion and the relevant section.
මේ වැදගත් අවස්ථාව මගහරින්න මේ වටෙන් පිටෙන් ගල් ගහලා මේක මේ අවුල් කරන වැඩක්. මේ විවාදයට මාතෘකාව.
He must fully present the New York Times article to the House as we are going to have to debate on it.
නැවතත් කියවනවා යෝජනාව.
I am presenting the proposal again. It is about the New York Times article titled How China Got Sri Lanka to Cough Up a Port. He wasn't talking about an article in the New York Times. He's talking about an article on Sunday Times. This alleged $7.6 million of funds have been transferred by an account named HPDP Phase 2 of the Standard Chartered Bank. Those who were in the temple trees has cashed these checks. It's unfortunate that none of us knew about this until the New York Times article was published. We should also find out who was hiding all this information.
Meanwhile, the parliamentarian who was chairing the House had to ring the bell to call in parliamentarians as the quorum was not in the House during the debate.
We must get definite answers about the $7.6 million. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa or one of his family members must come and answer these questions as they have an obligation to do so. On the 12th of December in 2014, the China Harbour Engineering gave 30.9 million rupees to the government. And on the 7th of January in 2015, a day before the presidential election, they gave 80.9 million rupees. There comes a reasonable argument for us that these funds were given in exchange for these projects.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, Nimasiripala de Silva, said that a decision has been reached with India to administer the Matale International Airport through a joint venture company. As per the agreement, Indian Aviation Authority will purchase 70% of the airport.
Has the government taken any action to hand over the Matale International Airport to any foreign nation? As per the proposal presented by the Indian Aviation Authority, the government agreed to administer the airport through a joint venture company, and for that 70% of the airport will be purchased by an Indian Aviation Authority. We expect to pay off the debts by the money we receive.
Would
you agree that there was a need for a second international airport in the country for over 40 years and that Matale Airport is indeed the solution for this? So why aren't you keeping the second international airport with you? India or any other country won't be carrying this airport with them. The agreement will be presented to the cabinet, and I vow that it will be presented to the parliament before being signed.
State Minister of Finance Derana says the government will not decide the business plan of Matale International Airport, but the matter will be decided by the venture that will be set up by both countries to operate the airport. However, he assures that the airport will not be used for any other purpose other than commercial undertakings.
The government will not decide on the business plan. It is the company that will decide on the business plan, and therefore I don't have the information about the business plan, but the company will have a business plan because they are putting the money in, and we will probably know the broad outlines of a business plan.
So if you're signing the agreement, you should have an understanding of what it's going to be used. So do you have like a broader understanding of what, how?
No, the usages will be for commercial purposes only. All the details of commercial undertakings cannot be made public because you have competitors in commercial undertakings. But there will be only commercial undertakings, just like it is in the Hambantota port. I cannot say anything definitely because I still don't know all the details of the business plan. But what I can say is it's a commercial transaction.
The group of 16 SLFP parliamentarians who vacated their positions within the government claimed that the Gamperila development program launched by the government contains extractions from the program of the National Economic Council, which is under the purview of the President. Representatives of the group said this at a media briefing in Colombo today.
There is a minister who insults journalists and employs members of the underworld as his security guards. He insults our director to journalists who speak the truth. The Prime Minister recommended the President to appoint the same minister to the Ministry of Law and Order. When the President refused to give the portfolio to him, the minister went on to insult the President too. The Prime Minister wants to give the Ministry of Law and Order to this minister in order to create another Arjun Mahendra. This minister be handed over the Law and Order Ministry in order to save the underworld. The CCM was closed after months of struggle by the underworld. Then the National Economic Council was launched and a program was created. When it was about to be presented before all officials, the Prime Minister, together with Minister Mangala Samaravira and Malik Samaravikrama, didn't let that happen. Instead, they have launched the program Gamperila with those facts in it. Therefore, Gamperila is a small part taken from the National Economic Council. Since they have used the name Gamperila, the family of Martin Wickramasinghe has objected it and asked to change it. There are several ministers who have made up their minds to cross over. Minister Nimasiripala wasn't among them, but today he has started to withdraw from the government.
UPFA parliamentarian Jayantha Samarveera alleges that the government is currently trying to amend the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance Act, so that it will allow exile of Sri Lankan war heroes to any country in the world. He made the accusation at a media briefing by the National Freedom Front today.
හෙට ලංකාවේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ තවත් අපකීර්තිමත් දිනයක් හැටියට එකතු වෙමින් යහපාලන ආණ්ඩුව තුන්වෙනි රණවිරු දඩයම් පනතත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විවාද කිරීමට සැරසෙනවා මේ මොහොතේ. අතුරුදහන් කිරීම වලින් සියලු තැනැත්තන් ආරක්ෂා කිරීමේ ජාත්‍යන්තර ප්‍රඥාප්තිය. අසල්වාසී ඉන්දියාව නැහැ, චීනය නැහැ, රුසියාව නැහැ, ඇමරිකා එක්සත් ජනපදයෙන් ලෝකෙ කිසි බලගතු රටක් මේකට අත්සන් කළවත් නැහැ. මේ ප්‍රඥාප්තිය අත්සන් කොට තිබෙන සම්මුති රාජ්‍යයන්ට අපේ රටේ රණවිරුවන් පිටුවහල් කිරීමේ හැකියාව මේ පනතෙන් ලැබී තිබෙනවා. දැන් මේ සම්මුති රාජ්‍ය වලට විතරක් පිටුවහල් කරලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මේ රණවිරුවන්ව ලෝකේ ඕනම රටකට පැමිණිලක් දැම්මොත් ඒ ආණ්ඩුව රණවිරුව ඒ රටටත් පිටුවහල් කරන්න ඕන. ඒකට තමයි මේ නව පනත සංශෝධනය වෙන්නේ. මේ පනත මගින් අමාත්‍යවරයා ගැසට් කරනු ලබන ඕනෑම රටකට අපේ රටේ ඕනෑම රණවිරුවෙක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. රණවිරුවෙක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් විතරක් නෙමෙයි, තොරතුරු දෙන්න පුළුවන්. රහස් පොලිසිය කරන ලද පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ රටවල් වල ඉන්න පර්යේෂකයන්ට ලංකාවේ ඇවිල්ලා සාක්ෂි විභාග කරන්න පුළුවන්. පනත් පිට පනත් එනවා. EU පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක් ඕනද?
The National Movement for the Release of Political Prisoners demands the government to replace the Prevention of Terrorism Act as promised and to release the political prisoners whom are detained under the PTA. Convening a media briefing yesterday, steering committee member of the movement, attorney-at-law Srinath Pereira, questioned the legal background of this process by pointing out the political prisoners who are languishing in the prisons for more than 5 years without their case being concluded.
We, as the National Movement of Political Prisoners, are demanding and taking a campaign for the release of political prisoners. Now these people are detained under the PTA, which is a draconian law. Everybody has accepted, even this government has accepted that. Therefore, the government has promised in the international forums, especially in the UNHCR, that this law should be replaced by some other law. But still, even the draft has not been presented to the parliament. If it is a proper and just legal process, there should be speedy justice. But these people are languishing in the prisons for a long time now without their cases being concluded. So, we demand that these prisoners be released unconditionally on a political decision taken by the government. But even the present government and also the previous government has taken the stand that the issue of these prisoners is merely a legal issue. We state that this is not a legal issue. The release of political prisoners is a political issue because these people fought not for any of their personal gain. They fought for political cause. Sometimes it may be contrary to the law, but as these people were engaging some sort of political activity, these prisoners should be considered as political prisoners even under the international law. Therefore, we urge not only this government but also the organizations of the international arena to consider these people as political prisoners and demand this government, as the government has promised to replace the PTA. So on that basis, these people who were taken under the PTA should be released.
Health Minister Dr. Derana says that Sri Lanka serves a model for mental health care sector in the region due to its transformation during the last 2 decades. Minister Derana made this remark addressing the International Mental Health Nursing Conference 2018 in Colombo this morning.
Mental health is something my ministry is increasingly laying focus on. It is a global problem as well. According to WHO, mental and behavioral disorders are estimated to account for 13% of the global burden of disease. We have to admit that in our country, the proportion of patients with mental disorders receiving adequate treatment that help them avoid chronic disability, receiving and premature death needs further improvements. Mental health is also strongly linked to social determinants such as poverty and other poor health outcomes. I am happy to note that Sri Lanka serves a model for mental health care due to its transformation of mental health care over the past 2 decades. Political commitment to mental health changed markedly after the 2004 tsunami. Meanwhile, Ministry of Health has taken many actions to strengthen mental health services at national level, including the establishment of new cadres such as community psychiatric nurses, psychiatric social workers, community support officers, etc. Rehabilitation services are now available for mentally ill patients through medium stay units and long stay hospitals established in the provinces.
Government Medical Officers Association says that it decided to work off the all-island trade union action anytime from tomorrow, as the authorities did not respond to their demands so far. The Secretary of the association, Dr. Harita Aludge, said this addressing a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Today morning we had the Emergency General Committee meeting of the GMOA as directed by the Executive Committee, and we have discussed the issues which will lead to the trade union action in few days' time, including that of the revision of the DAT allowance for the doctors, minimum standard of medical education, new taxation system, national wage policy violations, free trade agreement signed with Singapore. All these issues we have discussed, and we have come to the conclusion that we have already made the representations to the His Excellency President regarding all these issues. We have not received any response from the authorities up to now. Therefore, the GMO Emergency General Committee meeting unanimously decided to authorize the Executive Committee to declare the trade union action in a few days' time. After considering the responses from the authorities, from tomorrow onwards, the all-island trade union action of GMOA will begin at any time as decided by the Executive Committee of the GMOA.
We will join you with more local news after this short commercial break.
Watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Minister of Home Affairs Vajirabe Wardana revealed that the International Cricket Stadium in Galle will be removed from its present location as it is an illegal construction. Speaking in Galle, the minister said that the land in which the stadium has been built will be vested with the public. The Galle International Cricket Stadium was built in 1876 as a race course, and the ground got the grandstand in 1892 following a suggestion by P.A. Templar, the then Secretary of the Galle Municipal Council, and it caused a seizure of racing, and in 1927 the ground was officially declared as a cricket stadium. The ground hosted its first-class match on 29 February 1984. And the ground was later upgraded to international cricket standards and became the 7th international cricket stadium in Sri Lanka, able to host test matches. The tsunami waves in 2004 hit the stadium, devastating it, and the renovation of the Galle International Stadium began on 8 May 2006, which included several new structures, including a new pavilion and a media centre. Seating capacity was increased and the reconstructed stadium was declared open on 17 December 2007 by then-President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Sri Lanka won 18 matches out of the 31 test matches it had played at the ground. In recent times, reports emerged that UNESCO informed the Sri Lankan government that the buildings constructed in the Galle International Cricket Stadium, including the main stadium, have threatened conservation work of the golf fort area, and therefore it is in danger of being removed from the UNESCO World Heritage List.
But we have to mention the fact that all the stadiums and the pavilions that were constructed within that vicinity have the legal rights. I have here with me the Mayor of Galle, and we can show you the approved plans by the Municipal Council with the approval of the Urban Development Authority, which were given in 2007. And also we have to mention the fact that UNESCO Heritage Committee met in June this year in Bahrain. They have reviewed the status of 1,098 UNESCO heritage cities in the world. We can categorically state the fact that none of these sites were affected or endangered as per the UNESCO Heritage Committee review. We asked the government to show if there is any evidence to say that UNESCO is opposing the buildings of the International Cricket Stadium.
Meanwhile, Minister of Home Affairs Vajirabe Wardana expressed his views about the issue at a function in Galle.
This ground is constructed in front of Galle Police, which is illegal. It doesn't have any approval. The only approval it has is the board which reads Rajapaksa Grounds. We'll construct a ground to play cricket next to the highway. It doesn't matter if it is built or not. People in Galle should live. I told the Prime Minister yesterday to remove it first and remove the others later. The ground was initially situated in front of Galle Police, which is illegal.
In the meantime, Rangana Herath, veteran spinner of the Sri Lanka cricket team, too expressed his views on the matter.
I mean, as a cricketer. So, I mean, I'm just 1 or 2 wickets short to 100 wickets. So, in that venue, I'm a bit of a sad news for me, actually, if those things happen.
The report of the 42nd session of the World Heritage Committee of UNESCO Convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage states under the topic Factors Affecting the Property Identified in Previous Reports about Sri Lanka that commercial development, illegal activities which are intrusive and legal constructions within the Galle cricket ground impacting on the integrity of the property. However, the report does not mention the decision to remove the Galle International Cricket Stadium due to its illegal construction.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama says that the government is confident that the country will be able to achieve $17.2 billion in exports by the end of 2018. However, chargé d'affaires of the European Union to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Paul Godfrey, highlighted that if Sri Lanka is to be a regional hub for South Asia, there needs to be clear advantages for businesses to operate from Sri Lanka. These views expressed at the unveiling of the 5-year National Export Strategy held in Colombo today.
The launch of the National Export Strategy took place under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The 5-year strategy aims to enable Sri Lanka to reach its goal of $28 billion in exports by 2022. The NES identifies 6 sectors, namely IT and business process management, spices and concentrates, wellness and tourism, processed food and beverages, boat building and electronics to ensure more value addition and facilitate greater access to regional and global markets. Technical assistance for developing the NES was provided through the EU-Sri Lanka Trade-Related Assistance Project funded by the European Union.
Early on in its tenure, the government made a specific request to the EU to provide trade-related assistance. And I'm pleased to say that today's event is the fruit of that request. Of course, the EU has already given a huge opportunity for significant growth in exports to the European market through the readmission of Sri Lanka to the GSP+. The European Union already accounts for 27% of Sri Lanka's global exports, making it the largest market for those exports. I hope that this strategy can be the platform for increasing that figure and for seeing Sri Lanka take greater advantage of the wider range of product lines under GSP+ to support greater economic diversification. If the government's to achieve its ambition of Sri Lanka becoming a regional hub for the South Asian region, and a very laudable ambition that is, there needs to be clear advantages for businesses in basing themselves in Sri Lanka.
Making this transition to an export and FDI-led growth trajectory is challenging, but it is the only option available for us. In 2017, Sri Lanka had the highest ever export earnings of $15.15 billion. And this year I'm confident that we will rise further to $17.2 billion. 2017 was also a record year for foreign investment. FDI inflow was a record $1.9 billion last year, and I'm confident that it will rise to around $2.5 billion this year. However, we must realize that these are extremely low figures in comparison to some of the other Asian countries. What is very clear is that Sri Lanka has a long way to go. And if we concentrate only on a market of 21 million people, we will never be able to achieve the rapid economic development rate that we need.
Global trade today is being conducted in the most intensely competitive environment, driven by the rapid advances in science and technology that now underpin industry and commerce. We can no longer say that we will make shoes to carry on with the apparel. We have to go up the value chain. We have got the GSP Plus back. It's not merely a few items. We have a large range of items. It also may be safer today, looking at the global trading environment, also to specialize in niche markets. So we have those options. We have signed a FTA with Singapore, and both Singapore and us agreed this will not apply to the free movement of people, whatever they shout. We have China, who's today talking of a FTA with us, and we want to spread it over 10 years. We are talking deepening the FTA with India. After the Singapore FTA, who comes in? Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. We'll cover the whole Bay of Bengal, which are going to be our new markets.
Sri Lankan shares rose today and marked their highest close in nearly 3 weeks. The all-share price index ended 0.36% firmer at 6,183.02, its highest close since June 29th, and the turnover stood at 634.7 million rupees. While the rupee closed steady today in mild trading as dollar demand from importers were offset by greenback selling by exporters. Let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies around the world. Representing Sri Lanka, the Royal College Choir has won 3 silver medals at the 10th World Choir Games 2018 held in South Africa and has carved its very own piece of history. This year's World Choir Games was held in Pretoria in South Africa and 352 choirs from around the world competed at the event.
The 10th World Choir Games was held in South Africa this year, and Royal College Choir represented both Sri Lanka and the college at this prestigious event. 352 choirs from around the world sang at the World Choir Games, and the Royal College Choir carved its very own piece of history. Comprising of 40 royalists from ages 12 to 19, the Royal College Choir was awarded silver medals in 3 categories, namely for mixed youth choir, pop choir and folklore with accompaniments. The choir arrived in the country yesterday and was warmly welcomed by their families.
Recent comments made by US President Donald Trump following his high-level meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Finland drew a lot of criticism against him since Monday, which is why he tried to calm the storm the next day by saying he misspoke a key sentence during the Helsinki media briefing. However, just as the reporters were leaving the White House media briefing on Tuesday, which hoped to clarify these statements, President Trump answered a question by a journalist in a manner that again confused views regarding his political stance on Russia. Amid these developments over Trump's comments, the White House insisted that it believes Russia still poses a threat to the US.
US President Donald Trump's remarks at the Helsinki press conference defending Russia over meddlings in the 2016 US election stunned both Democrats and Republicans alike, drawing in widespread criticism. This prompted Trump to hold a media briefing at the White House on Tuesday, where he said he misspoke a key sentence which triggered these criticisms. However, as journalists were asked to leave at the end of the media briefing, a brief conversation between President Trump and ABC's White House correspondent Cecilia Vega have now aggravated the disapproval over Trump's comments.
Make your way out. Is Russia still targeting the U.S.? Is Russia still targeting the U.S.? Press, let's go. Make your way out. No, you don't believe that to be the case? Let's go. Can you just
We're doing very well. We are doing very well, and we're doing very well, probably as well as anybody has ever done with Russia. And there's been no president ever as tough as I have been on Russia.
This answer by the US president drew in more backlash regarding his political stance over Russia. Later, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Trump was saying no to answering more questions.
We had a chance to speak with the president after those comments, and the president said thank you very much and was saying no to answering questions. The president and his administration are working very hard to make sure that Russia is unable to meddle in our elections, as they have done in the past and as we have stated.
Meanwhile, in a tweet, ABC's White House correspondent Cecilia Vega said Trump was looking directly at her while answering her question and that he clearly heard her question.
Dramatic mobile phone footage which shows atmosphere in a plane cabin minutes before it crashed in South Africa's capital Pretoria last week. The accident killed 2 people and severely injured the 2 Australian pilots.
The Convair CV340 plane, which left Wonderboom Airport in Pretoria, was carrying 19 people when it crashed last Tuesday. The incident occurred during a scenic luxury air safari tour. The dramatic footage was filmed by a male passenger who was looking out a left-wing window at the engine that had caught fire. He and a female companion began speaking in Afrikaans.
It's getting worse, huh? Get it for the runway. This is getting bad. This is getting very bad. Oh, yeah, low battery. Can you... Yes, this is gaan bad wees. Yeah, you see my phone.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Veteran Sri Lankan spinner Rangana Herath applauds skipper Dinesh Chandimal, coach Chandika Thurusinha and manager Asanga Gurusingha, who were banned from both the test matches against South Africa for their part in winning the first test match. South African captain Faf du Plessis blames the team's careless batting and the lack of trust in the defence against spinners as the reason behind their defeat in the first test. Both players made this remark at the pre-match media briefing held in Colombo.
They are in the top. We need to have a bit of a go with the winning because that's giving us more confidence. Of course, this is a very vital game for us. I'm sure boys, they will deliver in this game. You can see on the screen we don't have a coach, we don't have captain, but if you see the nets, like while doing practices, we have Chandika, even Chandimal was there. The preparation was very good. So that I need to highlight because without them, we cannot go that far. They're always behind us.
The first test we were quite off the ball in a lot of areas, but we've also been a team that sometimes starts a little bit slow, unfortunately, and then we start making better decisions. So hopefully we can do that in this test match. We know it's going to be tough. It's never easy winning away from home, but when you come to the subcontinent, drawing a series is as good as winning a series at home 3-0. It's tough, but it's what the best teams do in the world, and we want to try and get to that #1 position. The thing that let us down in that first test was I don't think we trust our defence well enough. I think it was evident to see, especially in the second innings, there was a carelessness about our batting which doesn't go with test cricket. The great thing about very good bowlers or spinners, they don't give you a lot of bad balls, and that was evident to see how Sri Lanka bowled at us. Even though our spinners bowled well, consistency, we weren't on the same level as them.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Sheila Fernando is at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow, they are to vary between 20 and 35 degrees Celsius, with the highest of 35 expected along the coastal line from Mullaitivu to Hambantota. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the central hills and will gradually disappear. The districts of Jaffna, Mana, Anuradhapura, Trincomalee will experience sunny weather, but the districts of Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Matara as well as Hambantota will, however, experience showers. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to leave you with some visuals of Kandy. The city is at the capital of Central Province and it was also the last capital of ancient Sri Lanka. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.